What's up, guys? It's the Hood Lawyer. I'm a former battle rapping champion, fighter, and currently I'm an attorney in the state of New York. Let's get right to this shit. So there's a lot of people out there that are basically labeling Tekashi 6ix9ine a rat in his current case. They're saying he's going to be a cooperator. They're saying he's going to snitch. And now this just isn't random people on the internet and on the street. This is some well-known personalities who have a bit of influence, and that's where I have a problem. You got guys like Joe Budden with his platform and his podcast, not knowing dick about law, just applying his very little own personal knowledge and experiences to this situation, which means absolute shit. Budden, you got no business talking about this. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a bozo, and you need to just worry about Eminem getting up in that ass and coming back and trying to spit something, or stay the fuck in retirement, but most importantly, stay out of talks about the law and when people are fighting for their life and for their freedom. Because that type of shit, when you label someone a rat, when you label someone a snitch, you're really endangering not only them, but their family. And for the simple fact that we have no idea what's going to happen and what's going to unfold in this case, motherfuckers like Buttons need to keep his mouth shut. Same thing with academics. I don't even like saying this dude's name. This dude is such a bozo. He's such a paparazzi, such a fucking fake TMZ wannabe motherfucker, hiding behind a camera, hiding behind his protection that he has, never trying to show his face, always speaking out both sides of his mouth. Academics, you are a bitch. You are a bozo. And honestly, if I didn't think you would fucking press charges on me, I would slap the fire out you if I ever came across you. Just for being the bitch that you are, putting out the misinformation that you are, and speaking out of both sides of your mouth. So let's get that clear. Let's make that very clear, okay? I also want to make something clear. I am not a fan of Tekashi 6ix9ine. I'm not a fan of his music. I'm not a fan of how he markets himself. I'm not a fan of how he's went about shit, of the representations he's made. I was one of the first people in the very beginning saying that this kid is getting extorted. That's what's really going on. Like, all this Treyway, this 9 Trey shit that he's repping, basically, it's a bunch of dudes in his hood that are allowing him to say this shit, and he's getting extorted. I was the first one to say that he's not about that life in reality. I mean, I know there's a lot of people saying that, but I was pointing out how he was not only getting extorted, but basically I predicted a lot of what's going on now, the fallout that was going to happen when this kid actually had somebody who knew what they were looking at, look at his money situation, his financial management, and basically see that he was being taken the whole time. But that's not hard to see. When you got a bunch of hood dudes running your shit, instead of professionals who know what they're doing, who actually follow protocol, this shit happens. Do I blame those dudes? No. This is all they know. And honestly, I think a big part of Tekashi's success can be attributed to the fact that he was able to run around repping what he was repping. But fuck all that. Let's get right to the legal shit, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the legal shit. I'm here to speak about facts. Facts is all I'm coming with. And I'm coming with my opinion, my subjective opinion, but I'm basing that opinion off objective facts. So here are the facts at the moment. Tekashi is currently in an undisclosed federal prison, and he was remanded. Basically, he was denied bail, and he's going to sit in that said prison unless the situation changes and they decide to give him bail. He's going to be sitting in this federal prison for the next 11 months, okay? Another distinction I want to make. Tekashi 6ix9ine, Daniel Hernandez, is being charged by the federal government, by the Justice Department. This would be a much different situation had he been being charged by New York State, like he has been with his other charges stemming from that sexual assault and whatever else that situation was. I don't want to speak too much on it because I don't have personal knowledge of it. So if I don't have the facts, I'm not going to elaborate, because that's how any responsible person should be communicating. It's fine to give your opinion, you can state how you feel, but when you're going to put bullshit out there on a subject, something as serious as this, something as serious as snitching or cooperating against a major gang, and you're going to put someone's safety in danger, someone who's sitting in a jail cell and fighting for their life, while you don't know shit about what's actually going on, that shit is disgusting. Shame on you. Shame on all you motherfuckers that are doing that. All you motherfuckers with that clickbait and with that rush to judgment, and all you motherfuckers prematurely labeling this kid a snitch before you know anything that's actually happening, shame on you motherfuckers. Let's just look at the objective evidence that we have at the moment. Tekashi's being tried by the feds. He's currently under a RICO indictment. In case you don't know, RICO is racketeering and influence in corrupt organizations. It's a tool used by the federal government and famously used by Rudy Giuliani, who basically made his bones and made his career of going off Cosa Nostra, also known as the Italian mob, in the 80s with the commission trials. Yeah, so when Biggie was rapping about the commission and victory, that's what he was talking about, in case you guys were wondering. The commission is the bosses of the 5 families of Cosa Nostra, as well as some of the bosses throughout the country, and they would sit as an executive board and meet to make decisions. So when Biggie says, you ask the commission for permission to hit him, that's who he's referring to. Well, that commission was basically taken out by the new weapon known as RICO that Rudy Giuliani brought to prominence when he used for the federal government when he was an assistant U.S. attorney, and he prosecuted a lot of the top guys and really did a lot of crippling of the Italian mob. So those same tools right now are being used against Tekashi 6ix9ine. They are hitting him with RICO, and you need things called RICO predicates, crimes that fall under the RICO umbrella: murder, extortion, money laundering. There's a whole litany of them. There's a whole bunch of them. So basically, Tekashi is being charged with racketeering. He's being charged under RICO, which is very serious. The penalties are up to life, and with the federal government's conviction rate and with their unlimited resources in putting on their case, it's not a good situation from the beginning. Tekashi's got a lot to think about right now. But the last thing this dude needs, or anybody needs for that matter, and again, I'm not a fan of his, but I will be saying this on anybody's behalf, is motherfuckers prematurely labeling him a snitch. Because there would be nothing worse, there would be not a greater injustice than if this kid is sitting in his cell right now, getting ready to stand trial for his life and not try to put it on anybody else, and people are labeling him a snitch. Because that in itself brings about a stigma that he'll never be able to erase. People will always continue to pull that card out, even if the kid stood trial and beat it, was acquitted, stood tall the whole time. People will still mention that because people are ignorant. Just like the whole point of this video, people are ignorant. Ignorant is not knowing, in case you didn't know. So if you're ignorant, start to know, dumb motherfuckers. But again, if you've been trying to profit off this kid, if you've been prematurely rushing to judgment, shame on you. Fucking disgusting. So it's cool if you look at the evidence we got so far. Tekashi has been remanded with no bail. Part 1. Had Tekashi been cooperating with the government, they would likely make some type of arrangement to give him some type of bail. There would be some type of situation, even if it included home monitoring, house arrest, something where they would have this kid out from behind bars, probably being guarded by U.S. Marshals. That's first of all. He's been remanded. Second of all, there's been no talk, no evidence. There's not even been murmurs of a proffer. A proffer, if you don't know, also known as queen for a day, is when a defendant sits down with the U.S. attorney or district attorney, had it been a state charge, and they have their lawyer, and they discuss what they could bring to the table if they were going to cooperate. A lot of guys go in for proffers, but they never proceed, and they never actually cooperate because the government's not willing to give them the deal they want for the information that they have and the information that they're willing to provide. Had Tekashi 6ix9ine had a proffer or queen for a day, we probably would have heard something about it. So far, we have no bail, no proffer, no queen for a day. Okay? Now, there's the transfer of the one facility to another. As we know, there was death threats on Tekashi's head. It was shoddy on the phone call that was intercepted with the confidential informant that they had inside the crew, whatever. It wasn't those death threats specifically, but new death threats in the facility he was in, where they decided to move him and transfer him for his own safety. This is very plausible. This is a very common situation. You guys got to remember, Tekashi 6ix9ine is one of the biggest entertainers in the world right now, period. Not just hip-hop, one of the biggest entertainers in the world. It would look very bad for the Justice Department and the federal government if something happened to Tekashi from now until then. If you look, when he was first warned by the feds, days before he was scooped up and indicted on all these RICO and racketeering charges, he was offered protection then. As per Justice Department policy, they went and warned him that there was a threat on his life. Tekashi had to sign a disclaimer, he had to sign a release, a waiver, in that he had been informed that there was a threat on his life, and his safety was in danger, and he still denied protection. The kid still did not want protection. So if he was going to turn around, turn state's evidence, and become a snitch, and try to get this protection or whatever, to try to beat this case, I think he probably would have took the protection he was initially offered, but again, that's just my professional opinion, based on being on both sides of the law. So, the transfer in itself proves absolutely nothing. That happens all the time to keep people safe, especially a high-profile star and entertainer such as Tekashi 6ix9ine. There's the fact that we don't know of any proffer situation that's happened. We probably would have heard some murmurs. As tight-lipped as the feds are, we probably would have heard something about a proffer. And there's the fact that he hasn't been given bail. People could use that as evidence in itself as, oh, well, if he was actually cooperating, the government probably wouldn't give him bail in the first place because they wouldn't want to tip anybody off to tip their hand and show that he was cooperating. Bullshit. It wouldn't be tipping any hand. In fact, you have a constitutional right to have a fair bail set on you. You have a constitutional right to not be unduly punished, to have the opportunity to litigate for your freedom and to be able to fight for your life. So remember, everybody under the eyes of the law and under the Constitution of the United States of America is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now, like I said, this is a federal case with a federal jury. They tend to be a lot whiter, a lot stricter, and a lot more conservative. The feds have unlimited resources to tap into. They have something ridiculous like a 98% conviction rate when they go and bring people to trial. And I'll tell you what, the feds don't like to plea out. There's a famous saying, in the system or whatever, if you get less than 8, you ate cheese. Meaning, if you get less than 8, you're a rat. I personally don't subscribe to that, because I personally know of situations where people didn't cooperate and they got much less than 8 years in the federal system, but that's neither here nor there. That doesn't prove anything. Again, I'm sticking with facts, and that's what I'm going to continue to do, is come with nothing but facts. So the facts are, there's been no proof of a proffer, there's been no rumors of a proffer. Tekashi did not have bail set. He does not have his freedom. He was not able to post bail. And that transfer from one facility to another proves absolutely nothing. So for all these Joe Buttons, for all the academics, for all the hood fucking dumb fucking bozos out there, I'm going to say that there is absolutely no proof. There is not even a good shred of evidence, not even a good shred of circumstantial evidence that Tekashi is going to cooperate with the federal government in this case against Shoddy and the rest of the Treyway, 9 Trey, whatever. It's just not there. It doesn't exist. The proof is not there. So, as an attorney, I deal with facts. I deal with the evidence that's made available to me. Do I personally think Tekashi 6ix9ine is going to snitch? No. Honestly, I think he'll either be offered a fair plea deal or he's going to go to trial. If he goes to trial, there are some positive things in his favor already. For the people that heard it on that wiretap, where Shoddy said to the confidential informant that, oh, we're going to feed him, we're going to super violate him. That's what people were concentrating on. But in that same phone call, as an attorney, what I was concentrating on was the fact that they said multiple times, he is not a gang member. He is not a member of the gang. That's something to consider in itself. That's something that might be part of a future video. But like I said, they say in the phone call, this kid is not a gang member. What that is called exculpatory evidence, also known as Brady material. Brady material is any material that the prosecution has that tends to not incriminate the defendant, that tends to show the defendant's innocence. The prosecution has evidence that can all point to the defendant being innocent, they got to turn it over to the defense. That's Brady material or exculpatory material. That material, you could bet, is definitely already turned over to Tekashi's counsel. If not, it will be, the official copies or whatever. And Tekashi will be able to present that as evidence in his trial. That the alleged leaders and power players of the gang are right there on tape, right there on a wire, right there on a bug, saying that this kid is not a member of the gang. That in itself is a good piece of evidence that can weigh heavy and potentially exonerate Tekashi. So there's a good chance that this kid stands trial, and there's actually a decent chance that this kid beats trial. Oh, Lord, this kid will never shut up if that's the case, but whatever. I'm rooting for him. Regardless, And I'm not saying I'm rooting for him as a fan of his music or anything like that. I just think that he's a very young kid who was very easily influenced. I don't believe he was fully a gang member. I don't believe he's a violent predator. I don't believe the kid deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison. With that being said, though, like I said, I'm always going to come with the facts. And as the facts show now, there is no evidence, not even circumstantial, that this kid is beginning to cooperate. So for all the people out there that are prematurely labeling this kid a snitch, you really need to shut up and think about what you're actually doing, if you would want that done to you or someone close to you. That's it for now. You can bet I'll be back with some more videos, and if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Once again, this is the Hood Lawyer, and I'm signing out.